All right, we are right in that sweet spot, that little window of time just before the weather decides to flip from kind of mild to absolutely freezing basically overnight. And that means we really need to talk about one of the most crucial and honestly most ignored pieces of equipment in your entire house, your furnace. Getting it checked out before you actually need it. Well, it's not just a good idea, it's pretty much essential. Oh man, we have all been there. Or at least we've all had nightmares about this exact moment. You wake up, it's the middle of the night, you're freezing cold, and you realize the heat is just not on. Of course, it's the first real cold snap of the year, and your furnace has picked this exact moment to give up. The worst possible time. It feels so predictable, doesn't it? Well, it usually happens because a system that's been sitting around doing nothing for months is suddenly expected to do its first big, heavy lift of the season with zero preparation. So today, we're going to break down exactly why a preseason tune-up is your ticket to avoiding this whole mess, all based on some solid expert advice. Okay, first and most important, let's talk safety. Seriously, this goes way beyond just being comfortable. For a lot of us, an annual checkup is actually a critical safety audit for your family, especially if you happen to have a gas furnace. So the reason there's that extra risk all comes down to how they work. You see, unlike a simple electric system, a gas furnace creates heat through actual combustion. That means you've got a flame, you've got fuel, and you've got exhaust fumes. And anytime you're dealing with combustion, you've got to be thinking about one very specific, very sneaky danger. And yeah, that danger is carbon monoxide. The reason this gas is just so terrifying is that you can't see it, you can't smell it, and you can't taste it. Nothing. It's this silent byproduct of the burning process. And if it's not being vented out of your house the right way, it can become a massive threat inside your home. So how does it leak? Well, this slide shows you the number one point of failure, the heat exchanger. On the left, you've got a healthy, sealed system. Everything's working perfectly, and all those nasty fumes are getting pushed safely outside. But look at the right. You can see how even a tiny little hairline crack in that metal can let that deadly carbon monoxide mix right in with the warm air that's being blown through your vents and into your home. And that is precisely why a professional inspection is so important. A trained technician knows exactly what they're looking for. They have special tools to find those tiny, almost invisible stress fractures. They can catch a potentially life-threatening problem before you even think about flipping that thermostat from cool to heat. Okay, now for the practical stuff. Beyond the super critical safety issues, skipping your tune-up can hit you right in the wallet, mess with your schedule, and even shorten the life of your furnace. Let's start with the one that hurts right away, the utility bill. I mean, nobody wants to open their gas bill and see a number like this. But a dirty, inefficient furnace can easily make your heating bills double what they're supposed to be. So why does that happen? Well, it's actually pretty simple. When parts like your burners and sensors get all gunked up with dust and grime, they just can't work right. Your furnace has to run way longer just to get your house to the temperature you set on the thermostat. It's burning more and more fuel to do the exact same job. The bottom line is simple. A clean system is an efficient system. And what happens when that overworked furnace finally gives out during the first big freeze? Well, you and everybody else with a broken furnace will be calling for emergency service all at the same time. I mean, just look at the spike in demand on this chart. You could be stuck waiting for days in the cold for a repair that you probably could have prevented. So here's the key takeaway on this. Scheduling a tune-up now, in the preseason, is basically like getting a fast pass to skip the line later on. You're being proactive now, so you don't have to deal with a crisis later. It just makes sense. So we've covered the why, everything from safety to saving money. Now let's get down to the how. What's the simple, actionable game plan to make sure your furnace is actually ready for the work ahead? It really just boils down to these 3 simple steps. First, get ahead of the game and schedule that tune-up before it gets cold. Second, have a licensed pro do a full inspection, cleaning the burners, checking all the connections, testing the safety controls, the whole shebang. And third, you get to just kick back and relax, knowing your system is safe, efficient, and totally ready to handle winter. Now, for the sake of being thorough, the source material we're using for this explainer did give a specific example of a professional service in their area. So just to be transparent, here it is. Comfort Control Air Conditioning. They point out that the company is fully licensed and they provide all the contact info. We're just presenting this as the data straight from the source. So